Part 38. You know, I am willing to die for you. In the room of the Jinghua building, Commander Xuan and others watched Xuan Huaifeng take the guards and lead Bai Xuelan out, close the door again, and drink with Yingying Yanyan in his arms. Jade put half of her chest on Xuan Geshu's body, coaxed Xuan Geshu to drink, and said, Amitabha, now that Boss Pai is gone, you can't ignore me. Xuan Geshu patted her ass with his hand, said, fuck your mother, what Boss Pai, the actors are all but selling goods. I don't know what the world is. Now young people just love this tone of men and women. He said to his nephew, you bastard, have your mind come back? Your uncle, I am still trying to take care of your hobbies. So I asked people to call this Pai guy over to play for you, but you little bunny, when I see you, that kid from the Xuan family, your eyes are straight. Damn it, you're already an army commander. So what's the point of it? Seeing that he was scolding rudely, the people around him persuaded them, Commander, the army commander is a hero and a boy. In the future, if you still want to do something big for you, you should swear less. Otherwise, how can the commander's face be so good? Bai Yunfei is just a showman, and Army Commander Xuan doesn't like it. Of course, our army commander has a good taste. Commander Xuan laughed and scolded, fuck your eggs, whoever wants you to say good things to him. I can scold me if I want to. But then again, rabbits are rabbits, each has its own way of playing, and it's not a big deal. Although my nephew has a weird taste, he is very good at handling things. Last time in Leihu County, we just pulled out 2 elite battalions of Leihuo, haha. I emptied all the tobacco and dirt that Leihu was hiding. Everyone was busy again and they exclaimed, tisk tisk, amazing. Amazing. The army commander Xuan is so capable, but also Commander Xuan is well trained and inherited. The girls originally wondered why the army commander didn't play with them. Knowing that he likes men, she acted coquettishly on Commander Xuan. Commander Xuan was full of food and drink, and he scratched his hands on the woman's chest and buttocks. And suddenly became interested. He took out a handful of cashews from his pocket, put it on the table immediately, and shouted, no shit to do. Come on. Gambling. Don't need any money. Give this commander all the cash. Women don't have to pay for cash, but take off a piece of clothing if they lose. If you take it off, this commander will reward you again. 9 out of 10 men in the room were gamblers, and if you are not short of money, you will immediately roll up your sleeves to gamble. These days, banknotes are far less guaranteed than silver yuan. The girls can still see banknotes, but when they see silver yuan, it's like seeing real money. I heard that there is a reward, but if you lose, you have to take off your clothes. Bright, shy and wanting to spit, twisting her waist, Jade said no, buzzing into a mess. Xuan Luzhao, however, was not interested at all. He only drank with a wine glass, and no one squinted. When the glass was empty, his adjutant Xuan Huaifeng sipped the wine bottle and helped him pour it. After a few drinks, the table was already cluttered with fists, making the noise unbearable. Xuan Luzhao frowned, flipped the glass over, stood up and said, Commander, I'll go back first. Others wanted to keep him. But Commander Xuan said, there's no need to keep him, he doesn't gamble, so he's free to go. Eggs, 80% are in a hurry to get rabbits. Hey, let me tell you. The General Administration of Customs and the Prime Minister belong to the same family. We are new here, and we haven't done any big things yet. Don't provoke that surnamed Xuan first. It's the same. Turn off the light, take off and find a place to insert it, it's not the same. Xuan Luzhao did not wait for him to finish speaking, leading his adjutant and 2 guards. And had already left without a shadow. Although Commander Xuan had just arrived, he had already sent someone to buy a big house in the city. In the past year, There have been 80,000 to 90,000 soldiers, and another round of local government bonds has been issued. The money is very profitable, and it seems that the money is used to flow water. The large mansion is not only large, but also very luxuriously furnished. Because the commander offended many people, the guards were very attentive. Outside the high wall, there were 3 steps. 1 post, 5 steps and 1 post. Every guard was holding a gun and standing upright. Xuan Luzhao returned to his room and sat down in the chair without saying a word. Xuan Huaifeng sipped him a cup of sobering tea and said, "Commander, take a sip of tea to calm down." Xuan Luzhao twitched his cheeks, raised his head and looked at him coldly. "Which eye did you see in my anger? Now?" Xuan Huaifeng was still smiling and said, "Okay, you're not angry. I'll bring some water, so you can wash your face." Xuan Luzhao was angry, and said coldly, "I don't wash it." Xuan Huaifeng said, "If you don't want to wash it, then I'll wash it." He poured a basin of cool well water, used the incense pan, washed it carefully, and wiped it with a dry cloth. Find a very delicate little glass jar from the cabinet. Inside is the facial balm shipped from the United States, which is quite expensive. He picked it up with his fingertips, looked into the mirror, and wiped it evenly on his face. Xuan Luzhao looked at him coldly, and said to him, "You don't need to spend that much time. If you put on 100 more bottles, you'll still have the same face." "Can flowers bloom?" Xuan Huaifeng turned his head and smiled. He said, "I bought this face cream with your money, and I rub it on my face for your own good. When you kissed my face, did you want my face to be smoother or thicker?" Xuan Luzhao twitched his brows and said, "Don't say it's so disgusting. Bala, fuck you. Just fuck you. Just give this lord a thigh. Who cares if your face is smooth or not? No matter how good your face is, it will be with your mother who came out of the brothel. It's the same, all the cheap bones." Xuan Huaifeng's face sank, and he wanted to scold back, but he held back. After a while, gritted his teeth, and said angrily, "Someone's mother is a girl, and she is noble. It's just a pity. You've been following my father's side for more than half a year, and you've found an opportunity to show your face in front of others. Why? He never remembers what you look like." As soon as the voice fell, there was a snap, and a slap in his face. The glass jar containing the American facial balm in his hand also slammed and fell to the ground, shattering into pieces. Xuan Huaifeng was beaten so that the gold stars flashed in front of him. But Xuan Luzhao was still not relieved. He pushed him on the chest and pushed him onto the bed. "Go up and grab his shirt, with 1 point left and right, scoff. Tear the fabric." He took off Xuan Huaifeng and zipped his pants again. After a while, he took off Xuan Huaifeng naked, revealing his dark face, untied the 3-finger width belt from his waist, and slapped Xuan Huaifeng's naked body, while saying viciously, "I don't remember. What do I look like? I want you to remember what the belt looks like." With each stroke, a red mark appeared on Xuan Huaifeng's body. Xuan Huaifeng was squatted and rolled around on the bed. He gritted his teeth and kept silent. Later, when he was beaten so hard, he made a humming sound of pain. Xuan Luzhao slapped his head and covered his face for a round, and his anger died down a little. Looking down at Xuan Huaifeng, his naked body was covered with bruises. He pulled it with his hand and told Xuan Huaifeng to show his face. The face that had been wiped with facial ointment was wet and smelled. When this face was wet with tears, it looked the most pitiful, with a hint of stubbornness between his brows, a bit like his half-brother. When Xuan Luzhao saw it, his crotch became hot. And he said with a smile, "You're a badass. You've passed the belt, so let's get a meat stick again." He took off his pants and told Xuan Huaifeng to slap his leg, open it up and go straight in. Xuan Huaifeng's body trembled, his neck leaned back, and the pain started to bark like a cat. Zan Luzhao snorted. Stop pretending. Hold this lord so tightly, for fear that this lord will run away. You little slut, trying to seduce this lord. When I get your brother, I will throw you into the sky. Xuan Huaifeng groaned, and squinted at him. His eyes were fierce and charming. And said with a smile, "Oh, then you really have to work harder. I see my brother is more romantic than before," saying it may have been done many times by others. When you get started with him. Whether the place is loose or tight, I really can't tell. Slap. Another slap in the face, knocking his head to the side. Half of his cheeks were red and swollen. Zan Luzhao slapped him on the face. Put his hand on his chest, pinched the little fleshy spot that stood up, gritted his teeth, and said, "Even if he has been manipulated, it loosens there, and strips you two brothers on the bed. I still like to fuck him. What's the matter, aren't you convinced?" The waist rod moved vigorously, and the attack on Xuan Huaifeng became even more violent. The car, carrying Xuan Huaifeng and Bai Xuelan, galloped down the avenue for a while, and turned into a rather narrow alley. They were all old courtyards that are common in the city, and on both sides. They passed through thick wooden doors that looked almost the same. Hearing the sound of the car horn, a figure hurried out from the gray-blue wooden door. When he looked up and saw the approaching car, his footsteps suddenly stopped. "If you want to go back, you can't hide." When the car stopped, the man had no choice but to meet him and said, "Why did you two come together?" Xuan Huaifeng just got out of the car when his feet touched the ground. He was startled when he heard the sound. He glanced in disbelief. It was actually Lin Qijun, who asked in surprise, "Why are you here?" As soon as the words came out, he suddenly woke up. Glancing at Bai Xuelan beside him, he said nothing and stood embarrassed. Lin Qijun was also embarrassed. Bai Xuelan saw Lin Qijun, but he did not have the intimacy and gentleness of the past, and said lightly, "I happened to meet Xuan Huaifeng today in the Jinghua building. It is rare that he is thoughtful and gave me a ride." He said to turn towards Xuan Huaifeng and thanked him, and want to invite Xuan Huaifeng into the house for tea. Xuan Huaifeng never expected to run into Lin Qijun here. He was caught off guard and became very confused. No matter what, he refused to enter the house, and only said that he would be in a hurry to stay at home last year. Bai Xuelan said, "Mrs. Nian is an excellent person. She wants me to go and teach her dramas often. Naturally, I have to do my best. Adjutant Xuan, please go over and say hello on my behalf." Xuan Huaifeng responded in a perfunctory manner. Bai Xuelan said that he had something to go into the house. Huaifeng. Just as Xuan Huaifeng was about to get into the car, Lin Qijun called out from behind. Xuan Huaifeng stopped. Lin Qijun came over and asked in a low voice, "Are you angry?" Although Xuan Huaifeng felt extremely uncomfortable, he really didn't know whether to call it angry or not. The feeling of being uncomfortable, sour and confused after being surprised, and having experienced the events of the previous life in a trance, and now seeing someone from another life, is not so much angry, but rather disheartened. That's right, he and Bai Xuelan are already like this now. Why should he accuse Qijun of getting along with whom? He really had no reason to be angry. Thinking about it this way, my heart is not so uncomfortable. Xuan Huaifeng also softened and said, "Don't worry so much, you and Bai Xuelan are friends, I already knew it. How could I suddenly be angry about this?" Hearing him say this, Lin Qijun felt even more uncomfortable. It was clear that he really wanted to follow Bai Xuelan, and there was a trace of sadness on his face. "I'm friends with him, what about you?" Xuan Huaifeng said, "Of course, it is too. My friend." Lin Qijun was even more sad and said in a low voice, Huaifeng, if you say this, you are perfunctory to me. I ask myself, the friendship between me and you, and the friendship between me and Bai Yunfei must not be divided. Excellent. Xuan Huaifeng asked himself what he had done to Lin Qijun, and he was most afraid of seeing his somber expression, but he wanted to say something to comfort him. Since Lin Qijun had a conversation with him at the restaurant, he has inevitably thought about it day and night. Every time he thinks that Xuan Huaifeng, who used to be sure of everything in the past, has also been robbed by a man, it's like a thorn. This thorn stuck in my heart, although it was sore and painful. It also brought out a lot of sweetness from the past. I felt that it was really wonderful to get along with Xuan Huaifeng in the past. Xuan Huaifeng's words and deeds are like wind and drizzle. He is generous and considerate. He is truly unique. After thinking about this for many days, the fire in my heart became even more intense. In the past, Xuan Huaifeng was distracted 45 times, but now he is distracted 89 times. Lin Qijun only hated that Xuan Huaifeng was hidden in the White Mansion by Bai Xuelan. And he couldn't find even a single crack, but he was looking forward to it more and more. As a result, he even ignored the few cunlings he had just made friends with. And he seldom went to the brothel teahouse recently. The only one was Bai Yunfei, the one he liked very much, and his appearance was indistinguishable from that of Xuan Huaifeng. His demeanor and speech are also very good, and besides, he has spent a lot of money on Bai Yunfei, and he can't give it up for a while. Occasionally lonely and boring, he comes here to Bai Yunfei. Who would have thought that he would meet Xuan Huaifeng and send Bai Yunfei home? Lin Qijun felt 10,000 regrets in his heart and couldn't help but peek at Xuan Huaifeng. He is tall and slender, with a thin white neck and delicate facial features. At this moment, his head is half lowered, his lower lip is slightly bitten, his eyebrows are slightly twisted. As if he is thinking about some difficult topic, which is the silence that Lin Qijun is familiar with his nice gesture. Lin Qijun couldn't help feeling warm. Thinking of what he said just now, if Xuan Huaifeng was angry with himself, he would have gotten in the car and left, but he didn't leave, and he was still standing so awkwardly. Obviously not completely unsympathetic to himself. Thinking of this, I can't help but sway in my heart. As soon as it gets hot, the courage grows. Huaifeng. Lin Qijun took a step forward, blocked the guard's sight with his body, held his hand secretly, and said in a low voice, "You know, I am willing to die for you." Xuan Huaifeng was startled, he threw his hand suddenly. Seeing Lin Qijun's pale face, he felt that he had hurt him too much, and he was embarrassed and guilty, so just said, "Qijun, I'm sorry. I owe you this." He didn't dare to linger any longer and turned around. Get in the car, close the door and say, "Drive, go to Nian's house." The car started. Lin Qijun stood outside the car window in a daze. Xuan Huaifeng closed his eyes and didn't dare to look at it. The car went all the way, turned a corner at the end of the street and disappeared, leaving only a few rolls of dust on the ground. Lin Qijun stood still for a moment, claiming to be utterly heartbroken. I wanted to go home by car, but I was afraid that Bai Yunfei would be left out. So I had to endure the discomfort all over my body and turn back to Bai Yunfei's house. In the living room of Bai Yunfei's house, there was a table of gifts on the table of the 8 immortals in the middle, and his aunt was praising Lin Qijun. As expected of a big foreigner, he has a lot of money. If nothing else, just these 2 pieces of clothing are worth 200 or 300 yuan. Aren't you worried about not having a fashionable palace dress? When you have a new show next month, wearing this dress will make you look great in Tianyan Garden. This box of Western beads, don't embroider all on the shapai, put it away first. I'm afraid there is another place to make it. Bai Yunfei came back, had already taken off his clothes, changed into a clean white short coat, took a small copper pot filled with half a pot of boiled water and drank it slowly to the mouth. Seeing that he was ignoring him for a long time, my aunt turned around and said, I said, eldest young master, you only enter the door when you are fine, but who is going to provoke you? Outside, everyone says you are kind and smiling, but who knows that when you come home, you will just keep a straight face. Bai Yunfei then said, you like that box of Western beads, just take it and give it to the pawnshop sooner or later. What else do you want to mention? I finally asked someone to help me make a new one last time. Where have you all gone? Qian'er came on stage to sing Concubine Yang. I had to wear the old one. And 8 of the 10 beads on the head fell off. Just halfway through, he suddenly saw Lin Qijun walking in, so he stopped and continued to drink his boiled water. Lin Qijun felt that the atmosphere was not right. He forced a smile and asked, what's the matter? Why are you unhappy? Bai Yunfei's aunt listened to what he said, and the boss was not happy. Only Lin Qijun was the most recent big sponsor. He wouldn't be empty-handed. They didn't want to offend him, so they smiled at Lin Qijun and sighed in a shrill voice. How do you know? Young Master Lin, I don't dare to offend him one bit, and I'm afraid of waiting for you when I'm careful. Why don't you come? We Yunfei have such a terrible temper. Thanks to your docile nature. And treating him well in every possible way. No, I was telling him to repay your kindness. These words were too cold, and Lin Qijun also felt impatient. Taking advantage of her free time, he coughed. Don't say anything about repaying my kindness. He and I are both acquaintances, helping each other a little. What's the point? Do you still like the things that were sent over? He turned his face and asked Bai Yunfei. His aunt nodded hurriedly. Fancy, I like. What else is there to be picky about? Lin Qijun ignored her, only walked to Bai Yunfei's side, and said in a slow voice, it's just that the time is a bit rushed. I originally called them. I made a new sha pie just for you. But this box of beads is a good one. It has just been shipped from Japan, and it is just right to be sewn on the phoenix crown. Do you think so? Bai Yunfei didn't say a word, just cold and indifferent. Seeing the two of them like this, his aunt didn't stand for a long time before chatting up. I'll go out and refill a cup of hot tea for you. It's cold. She took a rough porcelain teacup and ran out the door. Lin Qijun waited for her to disappear, then sat down next to Bai Yunfei and asked softly, what's wrong? Even if I offend you, you have to announce the crime? Huaifeng has been my friend for many years, isn't it? When I saw him, I didn't even have the freedom to say hello. You are too strict with me. Bai Yunfei couldn't help turning his head suddenly and said, I don't care about you and Adjutant Xuan. I just ask you, what happened to the Jinghua building today? You don't care about me. And you want to hurt me? Lin Qijun asked in surprise, why did I want to hurt you? Bai Yunfei said angrily, how dare you ask? Who are you lying for? Why don't you know? It turned out to be this. Lin Qijun said, you have a big name and a good reputation. Some friends know that I am familiar with you and want to be friends with you. So they begged me to invite you out. It happened once. I pushed it again and again but couldn't, so I had no choice but to agree. Originally, I was going to the Jinghua building in person today. But something happened in the foreign firm. The meal should be finished, so don't make a futile trip, so I come straight to your house. If it weren't for this, I would not have broken your promise no matter what. I really didn't mean to deceive you. Bai Yunfei snorted coldly, friend? I didn't know you had such a domineering friend. What? Is he being domineering to you? It shouldn't be. Lin Qijun was even more curious. I've known Lu Julan for 2 or 3 years. He is the third son of the owner of Lu's Silk Company. He has read old books in a private school since he was a child. It was because I saw that he was very gentle and wanted to get to know you very much, so I agreed to invite you out to meet. He actually bullied him. Are you? No, I have to question him personally. His face sank as he spoke. He stood up and left immediately. Instead, Bai Yunfei held him back. Don't go. The matter has spread, and I still can't go out to meet people? It's not the third Master Lu, he was also there today, and he didn't do anything. Except that there was another group of people on the table with guns, and insulting others. Then he talked about the Jinghua building in 1510, with a look of humiliation and indignation. When Lin Qijun heard this, he gritted his teeth in anger, and quickly supported Bai Yunfei's face to look, and sure enough, there were 5 red finger marks on the white flesh. He had been sitting on his side just now, just hiding his sight. Lin Qijun scolded the warlords who had wronged the country and harmed others, and then scolded Lu Julan, saying, "Why don't you say anything while seeing you suffer? This is not a thing. He dares to say that he admires you from now on, don't think I'll pay attention to him again." After a while, his anger subsided a little, and he felt distressed again. While sending his driver to the pharmacy to buy the best Western medicine for swelling, he personally rubbed a clean towel and let Bai Yunfei over. The bed in the room lay flat, and he helped him put hot compresses on half of his cheeks, complaining to himself, "It was because of me that I was soft-hearted for a while, and I was a good person, but I ruined you. In the future, no matter how good his friendship is, I will be rejected. This time it's all my fault. How do you want me to apologize? Go ahead and obey." Bai Yunfei was originally aggrieved and annoyed, but after being comforted by him like this, he gradually calmed down. Thinking about it carefully, among so many people with whom he interacts, Lin Qijun is considered the first class. Not only does he act generously for him, he often sends money and gifts. But he never bullies others, and he is more than 10 times better than others in that he treats others gently and docilely. Anyone who spends money to support actors, most of them have to pretend to be a high-ranking uncle, and behave filthy and disgusting. Even if they are like Bai Xuelan and the like, with extraordinary bearing, and don't have a big heart. But they can't get into the eyes of the other party. I don't dare to hope that they will be like Lin Qijun for a moment, who are willing to be humble and comfort them in every possible way. Bai Yunfei naturally understands that Lin Qijun is not single-minded, but if he is compared with others, there are many advantages that ordinary people cannot match. After I figured it out, gradually, I came to release my anger for Lin Qijun.